Welcome back to Insight Club, and today we're talking about the difference between anxiety and fear. Stay tuned.
The first rule of Insight Club is you don't talk about Insight Club. You do Insight Club. The second rule of Insight Club is the only assumptions we make about one another are that we all want happiness and we all want to avoid suffering. The third rule of Insight Club is you check all your other assumptions at the door. We hope these conversations will bring you insights that incite you to action. Welcome to Insight Club. Welcome back. So I think we have a lot of assumptions about fear. And I know some of my assumptions about fear are that it's a negative thing. But this past week for me has been one that's like the theme has really been anxiety and anxiety versus fear. And as I was starting to look at those two, I was like, some of my assumptions about fear are really assumptions about anxiety. So I wanted to kind of like pull the two apart. And I want to start with something last Saturday. Do you ever get this, Lise, where you're like, I need to listen to a specific song, but it's not a song you normally listen to, but something's like, go to that song, listen to that song.
Yeah. The song carries a message.
Yeah. So I was, cleaning my house and the message was really strong. It's like, go put on Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark. Okay, cool. So I put it on, and towards the end of the song, he sings, you can't start a fire worrying about your little world falling apart. And I was like, boom, that's the line I was meant. I mean, it's a great song. It was fun to listen to a couple of times, but I was like, that's why I was called to listen to this song. And it dropped in so clearly. Worrying about my little world falling apart, for me, that's a great definition of anxiety.
Yeah.
And I can't start a fire, whatever I want to do. I mean, the song I think is like about romance, but I was hearing it as like start a creative fire. Put something out in the world that I really care about. Get my passions in motion. I can't do that if I'm worrying about my little world falling apart. It's like I'm trapped inside. So how could I, send an explosive force out into the world? So it kind of starts there. But also it kind of ended there. Like that was a culmination. Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's funny because I've heard that song so many times and it's like, yeah, it's a good rockin' song, but it's never hit me before. It's like, oh, whoa. So I just want to kind of highlight that firstly, that I love when messages come to us through songs. And we're like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. So this was kind of like a cap, or maybe a start. I don't know. It was both an ending and a beginning. It was a catalyst. Because I've just been in this place of feeling anxious and feeling anxious and feeling anxious. And so that was Saturday, and I spent Wednesday just feeling like so anxious I couldn't get anything done. And then it felt so bad. We've talked about this before. I had to go through. You can't get out until you go through, right? So
there's only one way out.
It was the breakdown to the breakthrough, where it was like, wow, I can't sustain this feeling of anxiety and this feeling of agitation. So it's just kind of like I cried it all out and danced and moved my body and felt so much better. And then what happened after that was like this flood of creativity and writing on Friday. So Wednesday, I'm like in the anxiety spinning, worrying about my little world falling apart. I break down, I break through. Friday, I create. Saturday, I hear the song and I'm like, oh, that was it. That was the journey. And then it catalyzed something else, because then on Monday, I had this incredible session with, she's a hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and karmic astrologer. So it's this combination of like revisiting beliefs from the point of view of like, well, what's in your astrology and like what's in this life path for you? And then also like, how has this shown up for you previously?
Yeah.
And then using like neurolinguistic programming to like work with the words and work with the language to find what feels triggering and then like what's the lesson from that. So it's this combination of really cool stuff. And I found myself, please like interrupt me anytime because I'm just going.
I'm totally immersed.
Okay. So I found myself in a past life chained to a rock after having been beaten, bloodied, like for days and days and days and days in front of my whole tribe. And the person with the power was like, I'm going to break you down, and I'm going to break you down in front of everybody. And it was because I had spoken out. It was because I had, spoken truth to power and got myself in this
your personal journey.
Yeah, like, absolutely. And we were looking for like, what is that? Like, what's the big trigger around the language was like being a beacon. Like it doesn't feel safe to be a beacon. And so where is that moment? And like, okay, so this image comes up. And there was fear in this moment because I felt like I'm afraid of dying. I'm afraid of losing this life that I love. Like there was some genuine fear. I'm afraid of the pain, right? And there was also this weird thought where I was like, oh, I also, in the language first was, I'm afraid of what this guy who's punishing me thinks of me. And I was like, well, that's funny because these other fears are real animal fears. Like I'm alive and I'm going to not be alive. And that's so scary. I don't know what's going to happen to the people I love. And that's so scary. And then the fact that I was like afraid of what this person who was punishing me was thinking of me, it's like, that's weird. That's a different kind of fear. And that's when it, for me, dropped in of like, that's anxiety. Fear is, I don't want to die and I'm scared. And oh my gosh, I'm losing something that's so wonderful. And anxiety is, but I want to control how this other person is perceiving me and thinking about me.
Yeah. And it's even more interesting that the fear was about what someone who was punishing you already. It's not even like if I can control, I can change this.
Yeah.
Or make this person like me, maybe.
Yeah.
It's in a situation where it's already set.
Yeah, right? That ship has sailed. Yeah, which was beautiful because I think that's why I got the message and got the lesson. Like, oh, that's very different. And some other things came through as well. Like there had been fear previously that I hadn't listened to. Right. So, like in my interactions with this person of power, I'd had moments where I was like, uh-oh, like his behavior is scary. Like there's something here that's not going to end well. And I'd ignored it. I'd ignored my intuition. So there had been a healthy fear that was like, uh-oh, get out of this situation. The details are not clear to me, but there were moments when there were red flags, there were sirens going off, and I ignored them. So that was the other part of fear. Like so fear gives us energy, right? Fear is how you get away from the tiger. And also the fear that was like the fear of losing my life. There's that's a kind of fully integrated feeling. Like there's no blockage or stoppage there. That's a very honest feeling. Like, oh my God, I'm scared. I don't want this. that's like your whole body can feel that and be like, feel that fluidly versus the anxiety, which feels like a hard shell and an ossification that stops us from taking action.
I think a difference in the way that you're talking about fear and anxiety in here is that fear, and we talk about fear in this anxious fear so many times. So I just want to draw a line here, because when it's a real fear, something that fear can save us, like we're saying, right?
Yeah.
If you, if it's something that is happening in the moment, and you have that intuition that, although we can draw a line between fear and intuition as well, when you have that feeling that it's protecting of your life, it's protecting of uh, whatever it is, that we can do something about it, maybe run, right? Or either way, that we can do something in the moment. That is a fear that is survival fear.
Yeah.
Anxiety is often a fear that is connected to something that we can't do anything about, or maybe it's not even real, maybe it's projection, or maybe it can be real but not in the moment. So it's always about the future, it's never in the present.
And it, for me, it stifles movement. You know, in cartoons, when the characters run, but before they start moving forward, their legs circle in place.
Yeah.
That's what anxiety feels like to me. There's a lot of agitation, but there isn't any movement. And fear, like, propels us. And then we get it out of our systems, especially if afterwards, you know, we shake and do things that like reset the system. But anxiety for me creates like this continuous loop, and it feels like I'm doing something. There's some kind of motion, but it's like being on a stationary bike. I can pedal as hard as I
Yes.
want, and it's not moving me through it.
And I think it's exactly because of that. It's anticipation. It's something that it comes before the moment. It's not in the present, and we can only act in the present.
Yeah. Or it's stuck in the past. I get anxiety about past
Yeah.
things too, right? Like, oh, I should have said that different. I didn't do that right.
Mm,
But it's
yeah.
not, either way. It's not something we can act on. It's
Mm,
either stuck in the past or it's stuck in the future.
yeah. Yeah. If it happened already, it's like done deal. Can't do anything about it.
sometimes I'll vent about something. And I'm like, oh, this didn't go well. And Grady says, oh, well, you should have done X, Y, and Z. And so I razz him a little bit. I tease him a little bit. I'm like, you give great advice for somebody who has a time machine. Or like your advice requires a time machine in order to act on.
Maybe I can go back now.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Do you have a time machine to go along with that advice? I mean, it's out of, he's saying it out of love, right? Because you hear somebody saying, "Oh man, I didn't do this," and his mind is going to a solution. But it's a funny thing between us. Like, where's my time machine?
Yeah. It's interesting how we're just coming out of the Mercury retrograde, and you're mentioning that the creativity is coming again. I love that phrase, the you can start a fire if you're afraid of your little world. What is the complete line? Little world.
Yeah, and it's not afraid of your little world falling apart. It's worrying about your
Worrying.
little world falling apart.
So worrying, anxiety, not
Yes.
afraid, fear. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And that, fire is something that transmutes, that transforms, that takes raw food into calorie dense, nutrient dense cooked food, that cleanses, all these things that fire does. Like, it's a very important thing to be able to have and start and build. And we're foregoing that. We're foregoing the fire and the passion just because we're circling with worry. Oh no, my little world's gonna fall apart.
And what if it falls apart and it turns out to be way better than the little world?
Well, why would you want to be in the little world if you could be in a big world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I have been having the craziest experience in dreams lately, let alone with life. But anyway, and what happened tonight was something that I experienced when I was a kid, things like that, but I, I woke up completely lost of where was I, because I had a dream within a dream, like pretty Inception kind of dream. I had a dream within a dream where it was so real that I really believed I was awake until I saw my dad and an uncle, my grandparents, and then I was like, okay, I know they're not in this plane anymore, so it can't be real, but it looks like it, and I was really feeling like I was just in another dimension because what else? Um, and then I got some messages from them, and I woke up in another dream. And then it was related in that dream. I'm still figuring out the details, but I feel like it's not just the creativity is opening, but some portals are opening because and that, to be honest, in other moments I would coming back to our team here. I would be a little bit anxious about it, feeling like, okay, what, what, what's going on? Where am I losing my mind? Maybe. But this time I was just like, wait, let me just catch every message that I had, and now let's see what I do with this, because yeah, there was a peace within that crazy land. Yeah.
Do you resonate with this? For me, anxiety is tied up in trying to control something uncontrollable.
For sure.
Because it sounds like in that moment you accepted it. You were like, I'm not sure. I'm disoriented. Like I'm still disoriented as fuck. But I accept there's something here for me, so I can just open to it.
Yeah.
Versus the like, I need to control the situation, or like in mine, I needed to control how somebody else was thinking of me. Totally impossible and really unlikely.
Yeah. I actually even got to the other side of Mel Robbins talks about anxiety being also like excitement without breath.
Mm-hmm.
It's another way of seeing things, right?
I've heard that fear is excitement without breath. She says anxiety.
Yeah. Is it fear? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's fear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I even got to that point of, see, anxiety and fear are so complicated, interchangeable ways.
They're really intertwined.
Yeah.
And I love how this theme's been circulating for me so that it just pops up everywhere. So there's this cartoon that Grady and I like to watch. And I mean, it's hard to describe except that it's like science fiction, time travel kinds of things, and very irreverent. I guess that's the best way to describe it.
I like it.
And there's an episode we saw recently where the character ends up stuck in this kind of like a hole that shows you your worst, or no, it eats off of your fears. It eats off of your fears. And it's kind of an Inception thing where he keeps thinking he got out of it, but then something else happens. He's like, wait, I'm afraid of that too. Am I still trapped there? And he's still trapped and he can't get out and he can't get out. And it's like all of this anxiety because I don't even know if I'm in reality. Am I back? Like you were saying about waking up from the dream, and that's a very unsettling feeling. And then at a certain point, he breaks through because he realizes this is feeding on my fear and it's going to keep feeding on me until I like express the fears or like experience. That's what it is, until I experience the fears. So he's in anxiety around, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And then he decides to experience the fears themselves. And because it's all kind of like a holographic, whatever, he can kind of create scenarios. So he creates scenarios like, I'm going on stage to be in a play where I don't know any of the lines. Oh, and also I'm naked. Like the things people have nightmares about, right? Like I showed up at school naked, or I'm on stage naked, or I'm in a play and I don't know the lines. Like he brings those about and experiences the fear. And in that is utter freedom.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a really beautiful, I mean, as so often happens, right? Something that is created to be sarcastic and like not serious ends up being really, really wise.
What is the cartoon? I'm curious about that.
It's called Rick and Morty.
Oh, I know that one.
You know that one, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a few episodes, but I never got like into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like South Park, where you could watch it and go like, wow, somebody just really loves potty humor. But then if you watch for a while, you're like, oh, there's some deep messages being delivered here.
There's an episode where they swap minds as well. Have you seen this one?
I've seen one where two people swap minds, yeah, and then end up kind of combining in a.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. But that moment of going from anxiety to fear, and I guess like this is what I'm interested in investigating, not that I'll necessarily come up with the answer, but I'd love to just kind of see where this can take us, because the first revelation for me was like anxiety is different from fear. I'm like, okay, cool. And what categorizes anxiety, or what makes it anxiety, is spinning in trying to control something I can't control. It's often related to like a social construct as opposed to like a biological thing. You talked about fear as being biological, and anxiety is like, how are people thinking of me? Did I do this project for work right? It's things that are very much in the social realm.
And a trial to not a trial, an attempt to control.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and an attempt to control, as you said, things that aren't happening now but are in the past or in the future. So that, I mean, that's helpful too, right? Like if with fear, I can try to control my current situation. Like, oh, there's a tiger. Like, I'm gonna get the heck out of here. But it's like, how do we convert? How is it possible? And what could we do to convert anxiety to fear? Because once it's fear, then I feel like it has a shelf life. It's, it doesn't last forever. It has a natural burnout, like striking a match.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if the anxiety is about something that is available in the moment or close to coming to fruition, to happening, then yeah, we can either just wait until it becomes fear, or anxiety can be when it's close to something that could become something fearful, something scary. Then it might be that highlight for us to see what is available to us to do before it turns into something worse, right? If it's possible to do any preparation to quote unquote control the outcome, or at least have some sort of
to take action.
To take action, exactly.
Yeah.
If it's about the past, we can we are so bad at letting go, but there's nothing else that we can do other than letting go.
Yeah.
And if it's about a future that we don't even know if it's happening or not, again, it's we can't control the future. We can only control what our reactions right now.
Yeah.
So, and 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 this is something that I get myself quite asking myself quite often, like, what is so hard about letting go, about surrendering, that it's it is the answer, it is the key for so many of these things, to let go of anxiety, to not be stuck in the past or the future, and to live life more joyfully. And still we are always searching, maybe it is a survival mechanism to be always searching for what is wrong so that we can try to control, to stick in our little world, like we're saying.
Yeah. I've just had an insight from what you're saying. Okay, so what you asked, why is it so hard to surrender? Now, when I hear people talk about surrender, I usually interpret it as I should just be able to let go and then feel peace. And I'm going to go back to this session I had on Monday for a moment. I've had hypnotherapy previously. I've had other healing modalities previously where I was being invited to let go, release a fear, a belief, something like this. They make me incredibly anxious because I'm in that moment and the practitioner is like, and in some modalities they're even like, are you ready to completely and forever release this this belief? And I'm like, I don't know, am I? Oh my god, what am I? How do I know, right? and in this session I had on Monday, the language was different. It wasn't like, are you completely ready? It was like, what's the lesson? What's the lesson from this thing? And so you just sit with it for a while. And then when I was done with it, I felt my whole body relax. And I knew when I was done with it, at the end of a Kundalini yoga practice, like where you just like, the energy reintegrates. And then often there's like chills, just something. I mean, I always know when I'm done lying in corpse pose, when I'm doing my own practice and I'm just like, in that final integration, I know when I'm done. My body feels it. And that's how I felt. So I was like, okay, I got the lesson and I'm really done here. I guess this was like a tangent. The insight I had was when we hear surrender, I mean, I think for a lot, like, so that was an outlier for me for surrendering. I was able to surrender to it without there being this anxiety around, like, I don't know, what does it mean to surrender? What does it mean to let go? How will I know when I've let go of this belief, right? So if my assumption is that surrender should just be, I open my hand, the thing is gone, and I immediately feel better, that feels very challenging. But the insight is, I wonder if fear is the pathway through surrender. And it doesn't feel good in the sense that it's this moment of the anxiety becoming fear and going like, oh my God, I'm really in danger of losing this. And I'm so sad. And I'm like, I don't like this, and it's like it's a total lack of control, but it's not the peaceful, oh, I surrender to God and I just get, right? It's like a sad, pathetic, I can't do anything about this. It's out of my hands. Like, I'm pleading for my life, but I have no power to make anything happen. Like, that feels like it's been the missing piece for me. Are you following what I'm saying? That, like, it's not a pretty surrender.
Yeah.
At first, it can become that. It can become the like, oh, chills post Kundalini yoga thing afterwards. But the portal feels like it's that fear, which is like, I'm giving up any semblance of control. Like, I'm the person who's just broken. Yep, you broke me.
Yeah. That feeling of surrender that comes with loss,
Yes.
that comes with yeah, kind of like a death.
And saying like, I don't want this. This is not what I chose. And this is not okay with me.
Yeah, defeat, right?
Yeah, defeat.
Which is different than surrender, which comes with trust, which comes with um yeah, with knowing we're held in that surrender.
Yeah.
And not just totally naked and unprotected and exposed. Yeah.
Have you've seen V for Vendetta? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And that idea of like pushing somebody until they're just done, they're broken, right? Like where she's taken in and it's all a construct, but not to her, right? Like she's experiencing true grief and like a horrible feeling of why would somebody do this to me? And you know, you could just see the grief. She's just sobbing. And but that's what creates her breakthrough. And then she's not afraid of not being accepted in the society.
Yeah.
But that, I don't know, that moment of surrender that sure doesn't feel like, oh, I surrender.
Yeah.
God's got me and I've got, you know, I'm just here.
It's the coming through, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that would help with the experience you had in your past life experience to trust in any way. There are passages in stories where the trust made a moment where it was life or death turn into life. That's surrendering and trusting and turning into life. But it's that unknown, right? It's that complete void of any clarity of what's possible, what's going to happen.
Allowing it to suck.
Yeah, allowing it. Yeah. Maybe if we knew that we were dreaming within a dream or something like that, then we wouldn't be so afraid, because if we die, we would just wake up on another dream.
Yeah. But there's something important here for me about not knowing and it's not like, okay, I might fall, but there's a net, or, you know, I might die, but I'm going to wake up because it's a dream, of just being in the moment of like, this might be it. This might be all there is, and allowing it to suck and it's an allowing of the fear. And I mean, and I guess kind of in a simplistic way, it just comes back to this wisdom that like, you know, all we got are the 2 A's. We can accept, we can take action. This is all we can do in any given situation. But again, like I was always hearing accept with this positive spin on it and surrender with this positive spin on it. And this feels like a new leaf to unturn, where accepting can be like, I can hate it and accept it at the same time. And then that's me like in my life force going, I don't want this because I love life and I really want to live. Like the not accepting it or the railing against it is like this, I don't know, it's like the last few scenes of Braveheart, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's been since you've seen this movie, right? But he's like arrested and put in custody and tortured in a terrible medieval way. And but then it's like that last moment of yelling out freedom. It's like life wants to live, and I'm not gonna live. Like this body is done. This life
That's
is
the
done.
only thing that we're certain of.
Yeah, but this life force is saying, I was here.
Yeah.
And I loved it instead of spending those last moments in cowering or
Yeah.
trying to control or trying to pretend it's not happening. Like, this is happening and I don't like it, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's
For
a
anyone
piece of that.
watch, there's a piece in that. For anyone watching this, please watch all the movies that Megan is mentioning because those are amazing movies.
Although I feel like people could skip Inception. I don't know. Did you enjoy Inception?
I loved Inception.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's been a while since I watched it, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah, I loved Inception.
Have you seen Waking Life?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. So for me, that's like a similar message to Inception that I saw previously and was like, okay, I prefer that one.
Well, I need to check that one then because
it's kind of it's kind of a hard one to watch for me. Like, I'm very suggestible. So if I'm watching a movie and somebody like is on a mind altering substance, I feel loopy. And in this movie, it's about like, is this reality? Am I dead? Am I alive? Like, it's that, that's the main character's journey. And I absorb that feeling and it makes me feel like not so good. But it's really well done. That's really well done.
Wow.
But that, yeah, I mean, that feeling of, am I in reality? And I think that's something, it's almost natural. Like, I was talking about anxiety as being a kind of a social thing, but that feeling of, am I in reality? Is this really happening? I think is a very deep anxiety. Like, am I in a shared reality with anybody else or no? And what can I hold on to knowing anything is real? That is terrifying.
It might, well, that's the thing that I mentioned that I would previously feel anxious about. Maybe I didn't say this correctly, but I would previously feel anxious about because I spent a big chunk of my life like confusing a little bit what was real and what was dreams that I had because they were so real. And until I started learning and studying about dreams and how they have meanings and they sometimes you might be in a different reality, or it might be prophetic, it might be that it carries messages and so on, or so much that has happened of meeting loved ones who passed as well, and so much wisdom comes from these moments as well. So I started, well, not that I didn't like that before. I loved the dreams that I had, but knowing that sometimes I was confused between one or the other was a little bit something to bring anxiety. But this time, even though I was like, okay, let me just reorient for a moment, I wasn't anxious. I was actually excited that came back with such power. You know that I'm the one that sometimes messages you to say like, hey, I had a dream of you, this and this and that, and that might mean something.
Yeah.
I do this my whole life, but I'm feeling like this access to it in a more tangible way is coming back, and I still have questions if what we live in here is real or if it is simulation theory. Maybe we live within a dream, maybe it is a dream of the higher mind of God and we are all just like pieces of it. That might be theme for another episode. But I'm accepting it.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I see that as such a superpower, the ability to go from anxiety to the peaceful kind of acceptance. I think I need fear in the middle as a stepping stone still. But that's beautiful, the release. Oh, I was talking recently with a couple people about float tanks. Have you ever done a sensory deprivation float tank?
Float?
Float tank. So you're in salt
Oh,
water.
yeah.
You have.
I have heard. Yeah,
Oh, okay. And
I've never been to one, but I have heard of it. Yeah.
I've only been once, and my experience was, it was very intense. It was like an ego death that I fought against for a long time, and got to the edge. So, you're in you kind of imagine like going into a spa, and then within a room that's like a large bathroom, there's this capsule. You get in the capsule, and then you can choose to have some like low lights on, to have some ambient music on, or you can choose silence and darkness. And I'm in the silence and the darkness, and I just feel myself spinning and spinning in anxiety, and finally realized that without anything to bounce off of, my egoic mind thought it was going to lose its existence. Like, who am I if there isn't something to chew on? And I had experienced this moment before, like, like a very, unpleasant ways, where and so I knew to give myself this talking to, or this, this advice. And I was like, okay, you can absolutely keep doing this, and you'll just keep feeling worse and worse and worse. And that's an option. You're welcome to do that. Or you can, oh no, what was it? It was like, you can keep, because I felt this edge, and it was like, you can keep pulling back, and then you'll end up in this anxiety spin, and you'll keep being miserable. Or you can just allow the boundary to disappear, and you can move beyond it. And that, I know that feels scary to you. And I know you feel like you're going to die, but you're not actually going to die. Like, at any time you could turn on the lights. At any time you could just walk out that door, and you're in a health spa. But that anxiety is so core to who my ego thinks it is. If I don't have something to worry about, I don't exist. And and then the scariest thing was just like, let go, let that, because it's hard to describe, but maybe something similar is the experience. I don't think I'll recall her name, but there's a woman who did a TED Talk. She's a neurologist, and she had a stroke, and she describes her stroke in which, the two hemispheres of her brain lost connection. And so she was like catapulted into feeling infinitely connected with everything. And then terrified, because she's like, oh my God, I'm losing my identity, and I'm not going to be a person anymore. And she doesn't understand numbers. So she's like she's a neurologist. So she's trying to actually call her office to get help, like to send somebody to help her. Yeah. And so but she doesn't understand numbers. So she's like looking, okay, that one has a line like this and a line like that. And she's trying to match it up she doesn't know. Okay. Jill Bolte Taylor, that's her name. Yeah. My stroke of insight. So I can kind of like, that seems like an analog, right? Where you sense yourself merging with everything that is, and you go, no.
It's a feeling of death. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was not the fear of death in the like integrated, honest way. That was the anxiety of, oh, it's gonna go. Losing control.
Which is a fear on itself, more an anxiety about, an anxious fear of losing control.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the central thing of, I guess that's the central thing of all of anxiety and all of that. The question that I asked you as well, like why are we so afraid of letting go? It is the answer in so many traditions, and for so many things, just let go, and we can't let go.
Yeah,
we're still so attached to either our identity, or like what others will think of me, or this situation, our little world. I keep coming back to that little world. It feels like
Yeah.
it's such a good analogy to the thing that we hold on to.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, what comes is if I let go of control, does that mean I'm just not important? Like if I let
Mm.
go and the world keeps going, that means like what I was doing wasn't helping.
What if we can let go of control, not try to control things and just follow the nudges, the intuition, instead of keep trying to manage our fears through control?
Yeah. That makes me think of schools of fish. Like schools of fish are incredible because nobody's in charge. Like in a flock of birds, there's a lead bird and they swap out because that's where you're getting the most wind resistance. But in
Mhm.
schools of fish, it's like a spontaneous collective knowing and they all go this way and then they all and I mean they all get to where they're supposed to be in unison.
Yeah. Have you seen the Celestine Prophecy?
I read
Or
it years ago. Yeah, is there a movie of it?
there's a movie as well. I read the book and I recently watched the movie as well. It
Okay, I'm gonna
was
put the movie on my to watch list.
the book is better
Yeah.
than the movie. There's more detail, of course, but it was good to like see and remember everything in an hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like that is that brings such a simple um, knowledge that we are all able to access, yet we are so much in that anxiety of being the past or being the future that we lose it. And this is something that I felt that for me it's my main thing for 2025. I want to be so present like the people in that movie, that no matter what happens, no matter what comes to me, I'm able to always listen to intuitions and take action on it, instead of be stuck into what people think of me or what will happen if I do this, or is this the right decision? Because I started this year feeling pretty confused,
Mm.
feeling like I don't know where things are going, and it keeps turning and turning in different new directions, and it doesn't make any sense. And I feel the only place I can be is present, to be able to be in peace, to be feeling love, to be feeling like uh, I can trust life and everything is taking me into the right direction, because I don't know. And that's in at the end, that's true. We don't know. Everything is unknown. We try to hold on to these little worlds that we create to feel a sense of control, to feel a sense of everything is known, everything is I know where to start,
Predictable.
what I need to do, where I need to go.
Yeah.
But the truth is we don't know everything. At the end, we have control over pretty much nothing, very little things. We don't have control even to our breath, if we're going to be honest. And if we had, we couldn't sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. One more movie to throw into the mix here. Have you seen the Pixar movie Soul?
I haven't, but I heard of it. And thank you for reminding me. I need to watch that. Yes.
So there's just some really cool moments, and they're like walking through all of where all of the souls are. And the assumption the character's making is that they're all like people who are not embodied because they're souls. But there's one guy there, his soul is there, and they drop in, and what he's doing in real life, he's one of the sign holders like when a store is having a sale or something and they'll hire somebody, but he's doing this like spinning, dancing. I mean, he's just incredible. And they're like, well, what's that guy? You know, why is his soul here in the land of souls? It's like, because he's just so in flow and in present. Like it's a moving meditation, and he's doing something that he's just being like fully himself and fully expressed and in full joy, not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past. So when you're saying I just want to be fully present, I'm picturing the sign spinner who's just there doing flow.
That's exactly what I want to be doing this whole year. And actually, I have been in many moments like that. And yeah, that's where life is. And it's complicated because that's another distinction that we might talk at some point. The difference between being flow and being dissociated.
Yes.
Because sometimes it can feel like, oh, but I'm in flow. No, you are so out there that you're not even present, right?
Yeah.
And there's a difference, and we can feel. For someone who's watching, might be seem like you're dissociated sometimes when you're in flow, or the opposite. But yeah, we can feel if we are dissociating or if we are in flow.
Well, I want to dive into that more. Let's definitely have that as a topic, because that's beautiful. And I mean, maybe it's a whole series, like things that are so similar yet so different, like fear and anxiety.
I like that idea.
Yeah. So what's your big insight from this conversation?
I keep coming back to that little world. Like, the only way to get out of anxiety is accepting that we have no control over the little world.
Yeah. Let the little world fall apart.
Let the little world fall apart.
Let the little world fall apart. Beautiful. Yeah. And mine is definitely that fear can be the portal between anxiety and acceptance. If I really just embrace the fear, like let me be like Morty and be naked on stage in a play that I don't know the lines for.
It's so curious that you mentioned being naked on stage, because that was an example of dreams that I mentioned talking to my mom today, and she never had it, and I was like, really? Because that's such a universal dream of being naked on stage or something, or in the classroom or anywhere.
Yes.
Like, I have those before concerts quite often.
Yeah. I mean, mine is like, I'm in the play. I don't know the lines. The play is also like my final project for school. So it's like the final, it's a play. I don't know the lines. Oh, and I was supposed to have sewn my own costume.
Oh. Everything in control. Yeah.
Too funny. Well, curious to hear what insights this sparks for everyone listening. Any insight to action that's coming for you?
Maybe catch yourself when you're feeling anxious or fearful and see, is it something that I can take action in the now and do anything in the now? Or is it just anxiety that I need to somehow let go?
Yeah.
If we can, practicing that's my practice for this.
Yeah. If I can find an outward expression, it really helps me with the anxiety, like just yelling, shaking, and I forget to do that. So my insight action is looking for ways I can remember to do that, reminding myself to move it through me, to shake it, to yell, to create motion. So it's not, man, I think of the movie Awakenings, and the people who are suffering from Parkinson's, And some of them appear frozen, but what's actually happened is they're shaking so much they're frozen.
Wow.
Like that's what the doctor, that's what Oliver Sacks discovered, that was this big breakthrough, is that it's not that they're still, it's that the Parkinson's made them shake so at such a high frequency that it looks like stillness.
It's basically the same thing of, I can't remember what kind of, I think it's gamma waves in the brain that can look like the brain stop, but it's actually so fast that it looks like stop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. So I need something to,
But I just wanted to add one thing to what you said about something to break through, because I feel like that's something that I totally forgot when we were talking about anxiety and fear. But that's, if we cannot, a lot of a lot of the fear that we feel, and a lot of the anxiety that we feel, more so the anxiety than the fear, is for not allowing ourselves to feel what we're feeling and trying to control what we feel with it. So that takeaway that you just gave of like finding an outlet, finding a way of of just putting it in motion, of really feeling what is in there, it can change it to either break into the fear, like you said, and then we can do something about it, or if it's not something that is there in the moment, of allowing ourselves to let go and see that there's nothing to fear in the moment, and maybe we can deal with it later.
Beautiful. Yeah. So feels like a beautiful place to end. If I allow myself to feel what I'm anxious about feeling, it will naturally lead me to the next step and to the path forward. Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Love that.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Let us know your thoughts on anxiety, fear, and how this all lands for you.
Yeah. See you next time.